take a million. All right. Hi, I'm Squirrel, and I have too many hobbies. And if you are here, you are probably also confused. So, we're going to move the cat. It's his house. I just live here. Okay. Hi, I'm Squirrel, and I have too many hobbies. And last time we talked about knitting. And this time we're going to talk about D&D. And honestly, I've just decided that y'all are going to have to deal with my familiar Jackson here as long as he wants to be here. Because I'm on the floor, because the light is terrible, and I still don't know what I'm doing. First things first, we're going to draw a tarot card. Because I did it last time. Can I get some?
JK, I'm just going to turn to an ASMR channel now.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to turn to an ASMR channel. I'm just going to shuffle a lot. Probably going to... I might actually have to edit this one. I didn't edit the last one because, again, I don't know what I'm doing. But here we are. So, tarot card is the Five of Coins reversed. So the Five of Coins is usually kind of feeling like you don't have a lot, even though you do have abundance. It's also fives in general are growth. So with it, thank you, Jackson. With it reversed, we're going to be talking about a lot of abundance, which is fitting. So, since the last time, I have done a lot of knitting. Haven't really gotten anything finished to really show or talk about. Haven't really started any new projects. I did get some new yarn. But what did happen is Barnes & Noble's had a sale. And their sale was the day after Christmas, so Boxing Day, and then the day after that. So December 26th and 27th. And part of their sale was 50% off hardcovers. And you know what hardcovers are? D&D books. D&D books are hardcovers. So in honor of my hoard of D&D books that I now have next to me, we are going to talk about D&D, which I'm very excited about because I have been playing D&D mostly with my family because my mom and my dad are huge nerds. They raised me to be a huge nerd. So my mom and my dad played D&D a lot growing up, and they taught us how to play D&D, and mostly me, but my sister too, we played D&D a lot growing up with, my dad, and then later with our friends, and I even ran a few campaigns, and then life got in the way, and I stopped playing, but it has now gotten popular again. I am now in a campaign again, which is super exciting. And since I haven't bought a D&D book since version 3.5 when they got rid of Thief, which I'm still salty about, I will forever. Wizards of the Coast, can you just please bring back Thief? We have Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sailor, Spy. We have Monk, Barbarian, Warrior, like all these classes. I have not only the Player's Handbook, but I have 2 additional books with additional classes. Can you just put Thief back in as a class? Is that so hard to ask? Like, this has been my rant about D&D, is Thief filled a niche that Rogue, even if, and I know, you can homebrew Thief. I have been homebrewing Thief. I've been homebrewing Thief for years. You take a Rogue, you add some other stuff, you got a Thief. However, I think the game would be more balanced if we add the Thief archetype back. But anyway, since I have not bought a D&D book since 3.5, and because I started playing D&D again with people that I did not know for a while, this is kind of a new group of friends, and I don't know how they play, because how my dad plays is, my dad's always the DM, and whatever he says goes. So that's how I learned how to play D&D. I feel like that's how most people learn how to play D&D, but since I didn't have a group of friends, I didn't know how they rolled, lol. So I wanted to actually have kind of the books. So we are going to talk about all the books I have, and we're going to talk about them in the order that I bought them, because I bought them in a specific order, even with the sale. The sale basically just expedited my buying of these books, but I still would have bought them in this order. So, and I think it is a good order for people who are either just getting into D&D or people like me who grew up playing it or playing like a different version, like if you played GURPS or Pathfinder or any other D20 system. Kind of the order I think you should play or you should buy these books in. It's also important to note that you do not need to buy any books to play D&D. If you want to play D&D, honestly, everything's available online. If you play with a group online and they have Roll20, you'll probably have access to all this information, or you can like beg, borrow, steal, go to your library. So you don't need to buy books. I like having my own books because I like making notes in my books, which means options like going to the library or borrowing a book from a friend are not like long-term solutions, because I do like to highlight and annotate my books, which is why I will always prefer to buy my own books, which is fine. I have a job, I make real money. Here we are. So if you're going to buy books, or like the first book you should borrow, beg, or steal, see, you can tell that I mean thieves. Like that's just the way I roll. Anyway, is the Player's Handbook. The Player's Handbook is going to be your initial rule set. So it's going to have basically, this is the bare minimum to play D&D. I will say that if you're going to buy this, the retail cost in the United States is usually around $50. Usually $45 to $50, depending on where you get it, depending on taxes and whatever. You might be able to get them cheaper online, which is why I do recommend, if you're not sure, to library, borrow them, go to a game shop. Sometimes they have returns that are kind of damaged that they'll sell you for less. Depends. But this is like your bare minimum. So this was the first book that I bought because I wanted to read it to build my character for this first campaign, and I do think this is the first book you should buy or read. Okay, so the second book that I bought, this is controversial. But I have reasons. So this is Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos. It is a co-branded with Magic, because they did a Magic card series with the Strixhaven world. And this is not a rule book. This is a campaign. So the difference between rule books and campaigns is that rule books are going to have rules. They're going to have kind of ways to play. They're going to have strategies. They're going to have tables of spells. They're going to have character names. They're going to have that. They're going to have rules. A campaign is going to have, especially these that are hardbound, are going to have kind of like the rules as they relate to the world. So this character, this is an Owlkin. This is a special race for Strixhaven. So all the information about the Owlkin is in this book. And kind of special information about the world is in this book. But what this has, and what most campaigns will have, is they will be designed for you to build a character, and for you or a DM or whatever to play that character kind of through. So it's kind of like you can either take this as a DM and you can make this your whole campaign and kind of play through it, or you can, what I'm probably going to do is you can play this as like a single player, and you can use this, the Player's Handbook, and the DM guide, which I'm going to talk about, in order to kind of play your own game and DM for yourself. So, like, for this, we have, we're not going to be able to see this. I'm just going to have to explain. So, like, for this, you have the Strixhaven backgrounds. Backgrounds are in the Player's Handbook, and there are different ones, but these are specifically for the Strixhaven universe, and ones that you might want to look into while making your Strixhaven character. They will also have maps pre-made for you. The other reason why I like to buy these books and not just look up the information online is the artwork is gorgeous. I love having the artwork. I love kind of interacting with D&D in that way. And see, like, at this is, we're not going to be able to see this. Okay, so this is, like, at the end of this Strixhaven field kind of part of the campaign. It says, advance to 6th level. Each character advances to 6th level at the end of this adventure. So, and it'll kind of explain what you do. So after you have the player's handbook, I would recommend kind of looking through all the campaigns. They have tons. And maybe see if you can't find a pre-built campaign that you like. Because this will give you an immediate way to start playing. You don't have to search for a group. You don't have to find a DM. You can DM this yourself. You can like start a campaign. But a lot of the work is already done for you. So you can kind of build your character with the player's handbook and your rule book, and then you can dive right in and you can start playing. So I think if you're going to buy a second book, or if you're going to buy 2 books, I would recommend the player's handbook, so you have all your rules, and then a campaign that you are interested in. You want to make sure it's a campaign that, like, not everyone's going to like Strixhaven. I am a fucking sucker for magical schools. I love magical schools. Probably will have another video about magical schools and how much I love them and different books about them. But there's like there's a bunch of different ones. And then I think Journey Through the Radiant Citadel has like a bunch of like small, like almost one shots. So that would be the second book I would recommend. The third book that I got is another rule book. So this is the Dungeon Master's Guide. This one is really meant for dungeon masters. There's a lot in here about world building, building your own world, how to draw maps, how to engage your players, how to resolve your players. So this is good for a player to have, but honestly, if you do not want to DM, or you do not want to DM for yourself, like do a self-paced thing, I would say skip that one. Or it can wait until later. The next book that I would get, even if you don't, again, this is the Monster Manual. So actually the Monster Manual, the 3.5 Monster Manual was the first D&D book I ever bought, because I used the Player's Guide and the Dungeon Master's Guide that my dad had from AD&D, which is also D&D 2. So I did want another edition of the Monster Manual. I do love these. They're literally just lists. They are lists of beasts with strengths, with weaknesses, with stats. They are really just, this is why this is more meant for people who are going to be building their own world, DMing, or even like taking the Strixhaven book and like choosing a monster out of here to kind of add in. This is going to add in monsters to a world that you've built. This does not stand on its own. You cannot use this by itself. Like, honestly, if you have an understanding of how tabletop role-playing games work, you could probably buy just whatever campaign you want as your first book, and you could probably use that campaign book and then, the internet and kind of your general knowledge and intuition of how things work and be fine, even without the player's handbook. You can't really just have the Monster Manual and do anything with it. They're fun to look at. The artwork is gorgeous. I love having it. It is probably the thickest. This one and the Dungeon Master Guide are like the chunkiest of all of these books. I bought it again because I'm planning on taking that Strixhaven one and kind of having my own like self-paced campaign, or I might try and find like people over Discord who want to do that campaign with me. But I did want to have the Monster Manual so that I can like pull other monsters in and other beasts in to that world to kind of have more adventures with and kind of like maybe draw stuff out. Because I have heard that is a critique of the Strixhaven campaign, is that they build the world, but it's a little fast. So if you wanted to like draw it out, you could add in more, almost like more one shots, more stuff into each of the levels, basically, or the years. The next book. Okay, so when I first saw this book, I was like, this is stupid. This is a stupid book. This is just like Monster Manual 2.0. Who needs a whole book about dragons? I do. I need a whole book about dragons. Because this is actually so cool. So it does have each dragon, and it has, for each dragon, and this is what made me really interested, it has basically, if you are playing a crystal dragon, either as an NPC or a dragonborn, and your background is the crystal dragon, it has kind of ideals, almost like background. And then it also has adventure hooks for each of the ones. It has different connections and kind of backgrounds. And then for each one, they also have a really cool map of the lair. So if you have this as a DM, you could honestly do each one of these dragons, like say your group is like hunting dragons or something. You could have each one as its own like mini one shot or its own dungeon. Or maybe it's not for each. Is it for each? Yeah, no. Each layer is different. And these layers are honestly really well done. They're not very repetitive at all. I do think this is actually a lot cooler than I thought it was. Again, the art is beautiful. There's dragons, and then there's also kind of like sentinels and stuff that are kind of things that you might also kind of encounter into these. So honestly, if you just love dragons and you just want to do a whole dragon thing, you could probably use this in the player's handbook and have a really fun dragon themed run, which would be really cool. So honestly, I'm kind of thinking that for one of the years of Strixhaven, I'm going to have like a kind of a magical creatures unit, and we're going to study dragons like the whole year. And so it'll just be like the year of the dragon. Okay, so the last two books I have, we're back to rule books. So when I was buying these, I wanted to buy mostly rule books, especially because you can find a lot of pre-built campaigns online. You can always add campaigns, but I wanted to make sure I had like all my rule books done. So, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and Xanathar's, you can tell I'm dyslexic, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. These are both supplemental, very supplemental rule sets. They expand on everything in the player's handbook. So, for example, for Tasha's Cauldron, one of the things that they have for this is like they have another class. So we have the artificer. So we have a class. There's some information about if you training your subclass. And I would say both of these are kind of evenly split between being totally geared towards DMs and geared towards players. And then the other thing is like, so like in Druid, they have optional class features where you could just like add other stuff and kind of customize and personalize. So honestly, these are for people who've already like, they've played a lot of either D&D or World of Warcraft or whatever, and they kind of want to like personalize their characters a little bit more and kind of customize things a little bit more. It just gives you more options and kind of more ideas. And that's the other thing about all of these books, is they are really made to just give you, the player and the DM, like ideas of like what kind of world you want to do, how you want to play, the adventures you want to have. It's D&D is very flexible. Every single campaign that I've had has been completely different than any other campaign. It depends on your dungeon master, it depends on who you're playing with, it depends on how things are set up, how complicated they are. So all of these books they really work to kind of help inspire creativity. And the other thing about them is I am like a visual person, but I have a hard time visualizing things. Like I can't make it up in my mind. I need to see it. So if someone's explaining something to me, or if I'm trying to explain something, I might not be able to explain it well, but I could like have this treasury of dragons. I could say like, okay, so I know we are going for, oh, amethyst dragon. Okay. So this is going to have, is it going to have, oh yeah, here he is. So this is going to have like this beautiful artwork of these dragons and kind of what they look like. So you can see like, here, this is what this is. This is what this looks like. Or like, this is an ancient blue dragon. So I can be like, hey, you see an engraving on the wall? It kind of looks like this. So they are very helpful for kind of fostering that kind of structured creativity. I've been talking for 22 minutes, so I need a drink. Sláinte. So, my plan, again, I think I've talked about it a little bit, but my plans for most of these books are, one, just to have, to look at. They're pretty. I like pretty things. I like pretty books. I like having them and, you know, having all of these options at my fingertips. But I am really the most excited about playing the Strixhaven set and about, like, really delving into this world. And it does have, you know, like, making friends and rivals, deepening relationships, relationship points. It has NPCs in here that you can, like, talk to and play with. It has different challenges. So I really want to really dive into this and kind of play this either with someone else or, you know, just with myself. And then maybe I will have like a character that I could, because this is for, yeah, character level 1 through 10. So it makes sense to me to have a character that has gone through like this magical school. I really get to know them. And then after they come out of this school, I have a level 10 character. So then if I'm in a one-shot and they're like, hey, like, we need a level 10 character, obviously they're going to be a magic user of some kind coming out of the school. But I can be like, oh, yeah, I have a character that I know really well. I can have in really well. I have a strong backstory for, and then I can take that character and use it for other things. And kind of just have this, like, almost backlog of characters that do different things and give me ideas for like when I want to either have an NPC in a game that I'm running or have something with other characters or just for fun. And that's the thing, like, D&D is fun. It's supposed to be fun. And at the end of the day, it is supposed to be like you just do whatever your DM says. Rules be damned. And as long as you're and as the DM, as long as you're consistent with the rules, then it doesn't really matter. So you could decide in your little, because okay, so usually in D&D 5, you if there is a tie, the advantage goes to the defender. But you could say like, okay, well, if there's a tie, I'm going to flip a coin. And as long as you just, every time there's a tie, you just flip a coin, or you say, okay, this, or you go in being like, okay, so this should be an easy challenge. So if there's a tie, it's always going to go to you, the player. And as long as you're consistent, it doesn't really matter what the rules say, even though the rules specifically say ties go to the defender. It's whatever your DM says. And that is the fun of it. I have also never, ever, 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 ever been in a campaign that didn't get, like, horrifically derailed. Like, I don't know if we just all have ADHD or what. Probably a lot. But usually things get derailed. People kind of don't know what they're doing. And that's also the fun of it is, there's that meme where it's like what people think D&D is, and it's like the Fellowship of the Ring, and then what it actually is, and it's Monty Python's Holy Grail. I'm like, I think that just makes it more fun, makes it more enjoyable, makes it as serious or as not serious as you want. So, to recap, if you want to start buying your own collection of D&D books, one, wait for a sale. Like, except for the Player's Handbook and the Strixhaven book, I got all of these half off. And then I'm pretty sure both of the Strixhaven and Player's Handbook, I still got 20% off. So wait for a sale. That's the first thing. The second thing is, again, it's D&D, do whatever the fuck you want. But I would say, if you know you're going to be playing mostly, start with your Player's Handbook. If you even think that you have an interest in DMing, get yourself the Dungeon Master's Guide. Even if you don't get the Player's Handbook, I mean, you would probably want the Player's Handbook because the Dungeon Master's Guide builds on it. But even if you don't have the Player's Handbook, if you want to DM and you are really called to like make stories and DM, get the Dungeon Master's Guide. After that, after you've chosen that, like I said, get a campaign that you like, that you think is cool. Because then you can start playing right away. And it cuts out a lot of the work of like world building and making NPCs and making characters. It cuts out a lot of the work so you can get right to playing. Because a lot of the times what people get hung up with is they spend all their time making these beautiful, beautiful worlds. And then they get burnt out and they don't play. And they never play. So get something that you can start playing as soon as you get it. Okay? After that, after you have your rule set and something that you can play, get yourself a monsters manual. Even if you are not DMing, even if you're a player, like I would say, if you have no interest in DMing ever, like don't even bother with the Dungeon Master's Guide. Just don't. But monster manual, this is super cool because then like say your DM is like, oh, there's an ancient brass dragon. Well, you have an ancient brass dragon right here. And you might have read a little bit about it. And so especially if you like playing high intelligence characters, if you like playing characters that know fucking everything, get this. Because then, I've actually played high intelligence character where it works like this, where I know I have a reference. So my character is a monster expert. Okay, so that's my character. They have high intelligence, they have high wisdom, probably no charisma, but like they are a monster expert. So I could have this monsters manual and my DM could be like, okay, you run into this, and I could say like, hey, does this look familiar? And the DM might say, yeah, like run an intelligence check. And either if it looks familiar or if the check like super succeeds and I really know what it is, well then hi Jackson, everyone say hi to the kitty. Yay, we love a good kitty. Okay. So your DM could be like, yeah, you totally know what this is. So then you can go into your monster manual because you will have known and been like, oh yeah, let me just read this real quick and be like, oh yeah, okay, I know what this is. It has a really low speed because it's only like 15-foot speed, but like it's really hard, and oh yeah, and it has dark vision. Or like your DM might like pick out like just kind of the first three things that you see you might know. So this is good. Like I said, you like playing high intelligence characters and you want to play a character that knows everything about monsters. You need it. Same thing with the dragons. If you really like dragons, if you think you might enjoy dragons, if you want to play a dragonborn character, get yourself the Treasury of Dragons. I think the Treasury of Dragons and the Monster Manual could be like interchangeable depending on what your interest is. Like if you know like dragons are you love dragons, you want to be a dragon, you're always going to play a dragonborn, you're always going to play someone who rides dragons depending on the campaign. This is going to be really good. If you're a DM, you got a shit ton of maps in here. And we all know map building fucking sucks. least I don't like it. Map building is like the bane of my existence. I will do anything to not build a map. I will do like a brief overview of the world and like continent scale, maybe. But yeah, after that, I'm like, no. Okay, so then after all of that, say you've played a couple campaigns, say there's a really good sale. Or, like, honestly, look through these. Because there might be stuff in here that you want to play. And if there is stuff you want to play in here, like, you really, like, the Artificer is just like, that is the best fucking thing I've ever heard. I would love to play an Artificer. Then get yourself the book with the Artificer. I'm pretty sure Tasha's Cauldron is more, like, magic-y based. Yeah, because let's see for this, like, yeah, this one has, like, a lot of life events in it that you can do, and a lot more stuff about tools, and there's these, tables. These tables are actually really fun. So they are random, I need to stop showing this, because you're not going to be able to see it with the ring light, because everything's just white. Yeah, so these are random encounter tables. So you can just go through and, like, say you're like, hey, I know I have a coastal encounter. Like, we're a bunch of swashbucklers and we're going to be on the coast. And then you can just roll. It says roll a d20, or d100. So sorry. Roll a d100, set up a random number generator. I like rolling dice. But you can also set up a random number generator. And you could be like, okay, I want, like, 3 level 1 encounters and, like, 1 level 20 encounter. And then you just roll, and it tells you exactly what it is. So let's say, I think I have it. You know what we're going to do? I think I have a die. I do not have a D100. But I do have a D20. Okay, so we're going to do a coastal encounter. We're going to roll this twice. So the first roll is just going to be if it's high-low. And then, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13. So we're going to fudge it. So my first roll is going to be if it's high-low. So high roll, I'm going to be in this, like, 61 to 100. And then the low is going to be the 1 to 60. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we got an 8. You're just going to have to believe me. So we got an 8, so that's a low. So now we're going to roll from 1 through 50. And this is a D20. Yeah, this is a D20, so it'll be... We'll just figure it out. I'm just going to roll and then I'll do the math. Hey, look, this is literally how playing D&D is most of the time. It's like, we're just going to roll and figure out the math later. Okay, so we got an 18. So I'm going to say that that's like 50. Just because, like, I have 10, so like 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, whatever. You don't need to figure it out. Honestly, this is a very realistic explanation of how D&D is played. Or at least in my experience. So yeah, so 41 to 50 is 1 adult bronze dragon or 1 adult blue dragon. Okay, so we're going to do odds for bronze, even for blue. And we got a 7. So yeah, so 1 adult bronze dragon. So I can either do that, like, as the DM, and then honestly, I would probably go into my Treasure of Dragons and, like, look up the adult bronze dragon. You probably can. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to go to the dragons. Blue. We did not roll. Brass. Bronze. Yeah, so look, right in here we have a bronze dragon. And then, I have these 8 adventure hooks. So maybe I'd roll a d8. So honestly, like sometimes setting up a campaign and kind of doing like that is almost just as fun as playing the campaign, and like acting and figuring stuff out. Like that's half the fun. It's half the fun for me. That's why I have all these books. That's why I'm so happy to have all these books and to start kind of playing with more people with like one shots or online, like on Discord, or honestly just for myself and just writing stuff out because I really like writing. And sometimes playing D&D like kind of helps you, or at least helps me, write something. All right. So before we go, since this was mostly about D&D, I did have one Yarny update I'm very excited about. So it's right behind me. That also helps. I did not plan this. I really thought I was just going to talk about all these D&D books and kind of my thought process behind getting all these D&D books. But this is my Love Magic sweater, which is also very appropriate. But this is my Love Magic sweater. It was my National Knit a Sweater in a month. It's now, for November, it's now a month later. I have not finished it, but whatever. So, but what I have finished are these sleeves. Look how gorgeous are these sleeves. They are not blocked yet because nothing is blocked, nothing is woven in. But I've done the sleeves, and then I've also done a little bit of bust shaping. So I've done some short rows. And now, honestly, it is just knit in the round until it is as long as I want it to be. And then we knit a little bit of lace, weave in all of our ends, block it. And I'm so excited. I was really trying to have this done for like the next whatever this is. But I think probably the next time I kind of like cycle through all my hobbies and talk more about my yarny hobbies again. I'm pretty sure this will be done. Maybe I'll wear it. That'll be so exciting. I would really like to, I would also just, God, these sleeves are beautiful. They are so, like, look at that. Just that lace. It's stunning. Honestly, if you like any kind of witchy style, you should really make it. Again, I'm making it in this beautiful deep dark green, but the more I stare at it and the more the sweater, I kind of want to like immediately cast on another one in black, because I think this would be like such Morticia vibes in a black, especially with this high neckline. And I do think I am. So I always leave these necklines, I always do the first bit, anything in the round, flat, so this is open. And honestly, I do think this will be on the back of the neck. And I think I'm going to get a little button instead of sewing it all up. And either sewing the button on, probably not, I'll probably just have a little button and a little loop of elastic, or I might take, this is my, and I have not cast on. So honestly, I could do just like a very simple chain and put my button on and have just this like beautiful detail that you can see when the hair is up. Just kind of add a little something to it. Once again, if this is your first time seeing me and you're confused about why we were talking about D&D and knitting, it's because I'm a squirrel and I have too many hobbies. I have no outro. I have no intro. It's work in progress. Hopefully, I did have a friend watch my last video, and she did say that it was really quiet. I feel like I've been screaming into the mic this whole time. I know I haven't been looking into my camera the whole time, but whatever. So hopefully it's louder. We'll see. I'm not editing out anything of the cat, so y'all just can see the cat all the time. It's very exciting. All right, until the next time I do this and talk about whatever hobby I'm obsessed with at the time being, I hope you have a great day, night, whenever you're watching it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, bye.